Did you know that Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm has a podcast and that we go live every week with a lineup of shows on BND TV? Head over to our YouTube channel today and subscribe for the latest in real estate, entertainment, education, and information. Here's what you missed last week.
Told me I can never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Coach told me I can never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Hey, look, it's never miss a Monday. Wine on Saturday, wine on Sunday. But Coach told me I can never miss a Monday.
Coach Mike, what is the best way to handle the stress as a realtor?
You know what? That's a great question, Rick. Matter of fact, I'm actually, this is something that I speak on. Now as CEO, Coach Mike is going out and booking speaking engagements. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that later. But this is one of the topics that I speak on, Rick. I'm actually in the process of designing a continuing education class, a 3-hour continuing education class around this topic. So I think this is a great question, because the reality, Rick, is that there's a lot of stress that comes with doing what we do. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of emotions that are connected to it. And to be honest, to be real candid with you, Rick, I think a lot of the stress that comes from realtors has to do with bad communication skills, right? I believe that if realtors were better communicators, I really do believe that success in sales is all about communication, right? What I mean by that, Rick, is for whatever reason, people, or I found agents are uncomfortable just being totally transparent and honest with their clients. It's as if they're trying to shield them from things. Right. So because of that, they're holding, this stress, this anxiety, this apprehension. They're holding it to themselves because it's like they don't want the client to find out, right? They want to shield the client from it. When in reality, what they should be doing is through that total transparency, Rick, number one, that definitely keeps the client in the loop. It's the best thing for them. What realtors have to become better at is they have to become better at managing the client's expectations and managing the client's emotions, right? That's where that skill set has to come in, and then they'll be more forthright in the issues that arise. Because what you and I know, Rick, is that there are always going to be issues in a real estate transaction. No matter you're at the beginning, no matter you're at the end, it's always going to be about putting the fire out. And as a real estate professional, you don't need to shield your client from that. You need to support them through it. You need to be there with them in it, right? So that's one of the things that'll help deal with a lot of stress that we get as real estate professionals, because we bear that pressure. Because again, we're trying to shield the client versus exposing them to it and then just being there to help guide them past it. So that's one. Right. Another thing that's very stressful when it comes to being a realtor, Rick, is we don't do a good job of putting parameters around our time.
Time management.
You know what? I don't even say time management, Rick, because the reality is that you can't manage time. Time's going to keep moving forward, period. You can't stop it. You can't reverse it. None of us got special powers, Rick. We can't manipulate stuff with our mind. Time is going to move. So really, it's about self-management, Rick. It's about what are you doing within the time frame that you have allotted and allocated. And a lot of realtors are not intentional about how they frame their time. They're not, we call it organized, Rick, and it may have something to do with that, right? We hear terms like time blocking, which is a very good strategy. It's a very good tool to utilize to help you manage time. But once you time block it, Rick, you still got to make the decision that you're going to be intentional about those specific items, as well as to protect that time for those specific items, right? So ultimately, Rick, what I'm saying is that not necessarily time management, but as you self-manage, you make the decision that you are in control of your time. Because if you don't control it, others will control it for you. That right there is contributing a lot of stress to realtors' lives as well, Rick, is that they're not being courageous enough to take hold of their time for whatever reason, a lot of it is fear. They feel like people are going to fire them, not want to use them, not take them seriously or professional because they're putting parameters around their time and being consistent on how they allocate their time when it comes to their business. So they're afraid of doing that. So they just open themselves wide open, Rick, and then they're just running all over the place.
Right.
And that negatively impacts you, man. That's a lot of stress that's on you that doesn't have to be there. So, that, amongst other elements that we talk about in the class and in the speech is really just getting agents to understand that you can eliminate the stress and best mitigate the stress by accepting control of your time, your business, and your success.
Coach Mike, can you please provide some tips on how to attract clients on social media?
Oh, you know what, Rick, this is actually a topic that we were talking about last week during our one of our transformational coaching sessions. Mm-hmm. We were talking about social media, and it's actually going to be something that I'm going to expand upon in maybe in some articles or some social media posts. I'm going to be expanding upon this particular topic because there's a lot of information that's going out as it relates to social media. And, Rick, I just feel like it's not good information. Right? I just feel like it's the kind of information that is why realtors are so overwhelmed with the thought of utilizing social media, right? Social media is simple. It's a very simple tool. And I do believe people overthink it, right? This is what I mean by being a simple tool. And again, we're talking about attracting clients. All right. The people that do business with you, people that they know, like, and trust, right? Is that a fair statement, Rick?
Yes.
People do business with they know, like, and trust, right? Okay. So that means social media is giving you a platform where billions of people are on it, right? So now the easiest way to build rapport with somebody is to have something in common, to have a common interest. That's the easiest way. I'll use me as an example, Rick. Little league baseball, youth baseball. We do a lot of that. Been doing that for years, since my son was 4 years old. Heavily tapped into that world, Rick. My son plays on 3 baseball teams. We in that thing, right? We in that thing. Okay, so that's an interest for me and my family. Well, I can use that, Rick, and I can go out onto social media, whatever platform, I don't care. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Mm-hmm. I can go on that platform and I can look for people that are into youth baseball, like I'm into youth baseball. They're out there, Rick, and they're posting, and they got hashtags, and they got groups, and they got all kind of stuff on there. People that are in the youth baseball, right? So I go out to those and I attract those people, right? I attract those people because it's going to be easy for those people to connect to me. Why? Because we have something in common. We have a common interest, right? So now, as I'm engaging those people through posts, through DMs, through just the baseball world, as I'm engaging those people, then what I'm doing with those people, and as I'm attracting more and more of those people, I begin to make them aware of the fact that I do real estate. Right?
Yes.
So now I've attracted them because of our common interest in youth baseball. And as I'm expanding, I'm making them aware that I do real estate as well. So what that does, Rick, is that makes them more comfortable reaching out to me when they have a real estate need. They don't know why, Rick. They don't know why they feel more comfortable reaching out to me than everybody, all the other realtors that then reached out to them and sent them information about what earnest money mean and, what the interest rates are. But they feel more comfortable reaching out to me. Right. I know why. It's because of that common interest, right? So I reach out to that world, and then I make them aware of the fact that I do real estate, and I do that consistently, right? I just keep doing it. Because guess what, Rick? As I engage with those people and as I send them information about what's coming down the pipeline as far as youth baseball, an interesting fact, or I entertain them about youth baseball, just information that they're already going to be attracted to, guess what they're going to do, Rick? They're going to share that information. Yes. They're going to send it to other people that are in the youth baseball. And what's that's going to do for me? That's going to expand my exposure. That's going to put me in front of more people that I'm organically connected to, that I can make aware of the fact that I do real estate, right? And make those people comfortable hitting me in the DM, hitting me on the comments, just following me when that real estate situation happens, right? That's look, if a person I said it today in our coaching session. If you make a decision where the stuff that's social media ready, the content that's social media ready is fits within just this single parameter. Like if I said I'm only going to post stuff that's youth baseball, that's going to deal with a lot of the overwhelm that people feel about social media because they're trying to find out what to post. Is this social media ready? Is that social media ready? Like they're trying to figure that out. And the thought of it is just exhausting, right?
Yeah.
But it becomes less exhausting if you just focus it in. And listen, Rick, that works, Rick, because what it'll do is people will continue to pay attention to you, right? It won't be as stressful for you, so you'll be more willing to do it. It'll be easier for you to do 2 or 3 posts a day because it's stuff that you're already naturally attracted to. You don't have to think a lot about it. You don't have to be super creative about it, right? And you're speaking to your audience.
Yes.
Right. That right there is just one way. Like that's one of the things that I talk about in one of my classes called Leads, how serious realtors attract business. That's one of the areas that we talk about is social media and how to properly use it. Right. Yes. We also get into the nuts and bolts of what social media really is. Man, I mean, I could actually take the whole show talking about this, Rick, but that's just one tip for a person to utilize to help them attract clients. Like when people decide to buy a house, it's an emotional decision, right? So that means they're going to connect with the person that makes them feel a certain way. So you're putting yourself in a position for people to feel good about you by letting them know that, hey, we got something in contact. It's going to be easier for them to want to do business with you.
It's a relative life. We coach right. You get you right. We hear you live. It's a relative life. We coach right. You get you right. We hear you live. It's a relative life. We coach right. You get you right. We hear you live.
Welcome to another Realtor Life podcast, part of B&D TV's weekly lineup of digital shows. I am your host, Michael G. Davis, broker and CEO, Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm, Realtor plus business coach. We have a today, but before I bring them on, I want to remind you that we are streaming live to the Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm Facebook page and YouTube channel. So for those of you all that are checking us out live, we invite you to place your comments in the chat and your questions, and you can take part in the live show. Also, if you have a real estate need, like maybe looking to put your house on the market for sale, or you're looking to buy a house, I want to invite you to stay on after the show today for a very special message just for you. Maybe you're thinking about getting your real estate license, or you already have a license and you're considering making a change in brokerage firm. We invite you to stay on afterwards as well. Now, to the moment of the hour, the person of the hour, I want to introduce to you all, I'm bringing to the stage. He's a real estate professional. He works with Saratoga Homes. He's a man of God. He gave us a phenomenal tour of their product. He's partnered with us in the past with our real estate summit, and I am so happy to have him on today so we can learn more about him. So without further ado, I want to bring to the stage Miss Gregory Woods.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Man, what is going on, Greg? So glad that you are here today with us, bud.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
Yes,
I'm humbled.
Yes.
I'm humbled to be on your show.
So, Greg, the reason that we do this, of my 18 years of being in the real estate industry, I feel that as real estate professionals, we hadn't been appreciated. Like our clients, our customers, our colleagues, they put us in a box, not recognizing that we're people too, people with passions and many layers. So I wanted to create a platform where real estate professionals like yourself could come on, showcase the many passions that you have in addition to being in real estate. Now, as everyone knows, I'm SEO Coach Mike. So we may be able to do a little bit of coaching that may can help out our audience as well. So it just depends on where the show goes. Now, before we get started though, Greg, I know once they hear your story, people are going to want to connect with you. Where can they connect with you on social media?
I have my Facebook, Greg Woods, and then Instagram, GregJ.Woods, and also TikTok, making it happen.
Okay.
61.
All right. So you in multiple places.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know we're doing it, Mike.
I absolutely know we're doing it, man.
Yes, sir.
So of those three, which one are you on the most?
So my Facebook page is really personal, but I do some real estate posts, and so I'm always checking them.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, and in this business, we have to be ready when the buyer is ready.
That's right.
So we work for the buyer. Right now, not only to sell them a home, but we want to help them build, right? Build their legacy up to leave that for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Demands, right? That's why we're here. We turn houses into homes. That's the business we're in.
I love that, man. I love that. And I know as we continue with the conversation, we're going to get into that later to see kind of what motivated and inspired you. But before we do that, what are some of the hobbies or activities that you and your family are part of?
Well, my wife loves to cater. It's a passion. And, sometimes at home she's cooking too much food.
Oh, ain't never too much, Greg. I come over there and take them off your hands now.
Well, you're more than welcome. That's what I told her. Hey, we can't let this food go to waste. We have to feed somebody, right? Let's feed somebody. The food is delicious.
Yes.
But, she just has that passion of cooking, right? She loves cooking shows. That's mainly all she watch.
Oh, wow.
Right? She loves those ideas. She like putting that flavor together.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say what's your favorite meal that she cooks?
So today I was eating some red beans and rice.
Oh,
just delicious.
Yeah.
Now, and she's one that doesn't eat okra, but she cooks it very, very well.
Wow. So she doesn't even understand the magic that she's creating.
Right. But it is delicious though. Man.
Yeah. But you're there to let her know.
Yes, of course. I'm the guinea pig. Right. Being from Louisiana, we love to eat.
Hey, no, y'all love to cook.
And we love to feed people too.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna follow up with. Y'all love to feed, y'all love to cook.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
So do you find yourself, you and your wife, do y'all cook together?
Well, that's kind of difficult because before I met her, I was cooking. Right. I started off cooking at 13. And, because I was the oldest of 5 kids and cooking for my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And so when I get in the kitchen to cook, she wants to come in there and instruct me. See, that's when we had a problem. Right? I don't need to tell me how to cook. I know how to cook.
It's them power dynamics, huh?
Yeah, that's what it is. So really, I can't cook unless she's at work.
Okay.
Just to avoid a fight.
Hey, man. You want that peace. You want that peace in the house.
Yeah. Or just sit down and just, smell the aroma. Enjoy it. Don't give me no instructions.
So you don't need no guidance in that area.
No.
That's awesome. So the oldest of 5 kids, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, actually, 8 at the time. It was 5, but actually I have I'm the oldest of 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you the one taking the lead for everybody.
Being led by the Lord to lift my family out of poverty. That was my prayer long time ago.
Yeah. And are they following your footsteps?
Yes. They're doing very well.
That's good.
I'm very impressed.
So I can definitely see why legacy is something that's important to you and why you're very passionate about it, because it seems like you've laid down a pretty good legacy.
I definitely work towards it. I pray on it. I surrender myself to be used by the Lord, and not only for my family, but for the people the Lord has put before me. Right.
Yeah.
So we all need to get into investing in self. Right. This is how we're going to build wealth, and this is how we're going to send it down to our kids.
Yeah. Absolutely. So with with that and with your wife's catering and the cooking, like what else? What are some other things that you all are, you're into that you do as far as recreation when you're looking to unwind, resharpen that axe? What do you do?
Movies. We go to the movies, right?
Yeah.
And they just built a new movie theater by the home, so we can actually walk almost.
What?
Yes. And
Oh,
she likes movies, so we go and do that. Right now, my passion is really, I do believe the Lord sent me here to where I am here at Saratoga, and He answered a prayer that I had before I was employed here at Saratoga, and
okay.
He's answered that prayer.
Yeah.
Well, we can get off into that later.
So where were you employed prior to Saratoga?
So I worked at Conn's Clearance Center.
Okay.
Yeah, we were on Stella Lincoln 610. I worked there for about 17 years.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, I came on over to Saratoga.
Really? So that has got to be an interesting story. Like, what facilitated that pivot, right? For you transitioning from something that you had been in for 17 years in this particular industry and then moving, into something that was completely, I'm assuming was completely new and foreign to you at the time.
Yeah, actually, it was. I couldn't believe it, right?
Yeah.
So, but I was married 30 years. My wife had passed. And I wanted to, we had purchased a home prior to that, a few years before. And I wanted to purchase another home without having to sell the current home that I had at the time.
Okay.
So, I went out, tried, got approved to, purchase, but I had to sell my current home.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. And so I'm talking to the Lord about, getting another home. How can we?
Shout out to everybody at Austin Business Strategies. Big, huge shout out to everyone at the team. And we're really excited at the Prime Real Estate Network to start partnering with you all. So, man, like I said, when we first came on, Coach, man, you're the perfect co-host for this week's interview. I want to take some time to interview this week's guest, man, because he has so many tidbits and profound information and game to share with the audience. So without any further ado, this fine gentleman is not only one of the foremost insurance experts, but he's also a multi-time author, and he's also a serial entrepreneur. I want to thank him so much for sitting in with us, and I'd like to introduce to the Prime Real Estate Network audience, Mr. Ryan Akers.
Hey. What's going on, everybody?
How you doing, Ryan, man? Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
I'm blessed. How about you guys?
No, look, man, it's an honor and a pleasure, man. First things first, I want to give you an opportunity for those that follow you on social media, for those that may have read some of your previous published books, those that may follow you on Facebook. Just introduce yourself to our audience, give them an idea of what it is that you guys offer at your company and what it is that motivated you to build your platform.
All right. Hey, everybody, I'm Ryan Akers. I am VP of Business Development and Commercialization for AYG Insurance and Financial Services. We are a Black-owned, female-owned, Black-owned business. We're based out of Vegas, but we have reach all over the United States. And one of the things that I found to be profound in the insurance and financial services field as a whole is that a lot of our people are not really aware of the different type of products and the things that are out there to, I'm going to use the word legacy, help build legacy, right? Or we think that only a certain group of people are able to, reach or establish a certain level or have a certain type of security. And it's just not so. So I was blessed to be in the insurance game for almost 10 years with just this company. Previously, I was with another company, and I felt the opportunity was given to me by one of my mentors, now laid to rest, but a good brother, Mr. Dominic Moore, and really kind of gave me the root in the game about financial services and what it can do for us as a whole. And so I'm just kind of taking his legacy and the foundation that he laid down to further push this agenda. One of the things I've been able to do along the way, as you stated, was write a couple of books. So I
Don't be so modest. Don't be so modest, Ryan, man. I had a chance to check you out, man. Your books are great.
I appreciate it. Yes. I'm a published author. I think I have 9 works right now. I have more, but I haven't finished all of them. But I have 9 works right now, mostly geared towards the entrepreneurial spirit and the mindset that you need to have in order to, become an entrepreneur. Not just become it, because really that's just a matter of signing a piece of paper and saying that you got a business, right? Mm-hmm. But stay in the path, good, the bad, the ugly, and fortunately, but unfortunately, I have experienced all of that. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So when I'm speaking, I'm definitely speaking from experience, and I'm a genuine person. So I think that's the thing that resonates the most, and that's the thing that I want to get across to people anyway. Like, anybody can do it. You don't have to have a certain background. Your family doesn't have to have a certain, money pit of financial security in order to do this. My parents were blue collar workers, and ex-military father, well, retired military. I'm gonna say retired because he served his country well. 24 years, lieutenant commander. Right?
Hey, we got to clean that up, man. He's checking us out.
I ain't gonna body slam here and there later. So yeah, but my pops did really well for himself, and my mom, who was an AK, shout out to all the AKs out there. Right. She did really well for herself as well. But they were workers, and one of the things that I tell my own daughter, who is almost 20 now, about is like the power of being an entrepreneur. It's not that I saw, in my own home what an entrepreneur was. It was the ability and the things that I saw people that were entrepreneurs having the time, having the money, taking trips, investing in real estate, just things that I saw that I was like, I want to be able to do that for my family, for my kids, for, wife, whatever, right? Just going down the line. When I leave this planet, I want to be able to leave my family in a better position than when I got here. And so that's kind of what propelled me rather into that position.
I appreciate your transparency and your candor, because one of the most fulfilling parts about building this type of platform is that it was done under the spirit of collaboration, partnership, and team building. And Coach Austin and I were talking offline about some of the most important considerations as an entrepreneur and business owner that we need to consider when forming partnerships and collaboration. So, Coach, could you just speak towards that conversation that we had offline and interact and ask Coach Ryan Akers what it is that you were interested in knowing from that specific perspective?
Yeah, no doubt. So, Ryan, one of the things that I, as a business strategist, been at this 17 years now, which is wild to even think about it.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, that ain't easy. Congrats.
No, it's not. Trust me. But and to that point though, right? The foundation of how we structure things, and you are a very integral, important, foundational piece. That accountant, that legal, that financial consultant. And on social, there's a lot of gimmicky terms that get thrown around, and the trust and this, that, and the third, and it's very kind of blanketed. And I know a lot of this advice needs to be targeted to everyone's individual need. Yeah. One particular policy, if I were to call it that I don't hear talked about, but when I'm speaking with my physician clients and engineering clients and realtors, developers, there's one policy that doesn't get discussed that affects your bottom line, your net worth, your protection. If someone were to pass, affect the spouse. And can you speak to that key man, key person policy that every entrepreneur, no matter how many millions you make out the gate, that the protection affecting the bottom line, net worth, et cetera. Can you speak on that? And is that something that you offer that you can educate the general populace about, and why and how important that is?
Definitely. So, Coach, first of all, thank you for that segue. And I think I want to lead with saying that insurance as a whole for an entrepreneur is probably the most important thing you can do after setting up your business. And especially when you know what business or field, like you said, you just named a plethora of different fields, right? When you know what you're trying to do with your business, it needs to be insured. We insure our cell phones, right? My iPhone had insurance before I left the store, okay? We insure our cars. We insure everything else. Your dog. If you got, if you're an animal lover, your dog is insured, right? But what we don't think about insurance is the thing that we want to make us money, and that's our business, right? So a key man policy or a key person policy, it is something that we do cover at my company. So after this, if you guys would like any more information, I'm going to give some information so you guys get in contact with me or one of my people at the company. So, but it's very, very important to have, and I'll say why, right? There's a multitude of reasons, but I'll sum it up like this. If something were to ever happen to you and you are the most important person on that job, would the job close? Would your company be able to run? Or what if there was somebody else that was there that was not in your position, but you left them some money enough to be able to go out and hire another you? Now, there's never going to be anybody that can replace you. You are unique in your own situation, in your own right? You are that individual. However, there might be another person. If you are the CEO and you have staff underneath you and something happens to you and you are no longer here, but you have a key person policy, well, that policy could in turn go out, leave the money back, to the business. Now, that money doesn't go to an individual. That money gets put back into the business. And now your board or whomever is in charge at that point can go out and hire another CEO. So they don't have to stop doing what they're doing to go do it. And I'll tailor this back a little bit. If you're a chef and you have a business, but you are the main person, chopping up everything, you know what I mean? You back there making it happen. You're Gordon Ramsay. I mean, what's my man? Not Gordon Ramsay. You're the Iron Chef, right?
Right.
Something happens to you, and you're the only person that can make that happen back there. Well, if you have a key person policy, your board or your staff or your director can then go out there and find another chef of the same caliber and make sure that they have the money to pay that person. So the business won't stop essentially running with that. Most importantly, this policy in particular has been used for a while, at least the last 30 years for sure, for churches. So if you're a pastor, and this is something that most church people are not aware of, but if you aren't, here you go. If you're a pastor of a church, I don't care what size it is, most churches are looking for money. So as you're looking for capital out here, one of the things that they're going to ask you is it insured? Now, they don't mean the actual church, because the property itself, that's fine, right? But if you're the pastor and something happens to you, is your church going to still function on that property? Or will it fall by the wayside? But if you have the ability or have a key person or key man policy, if something does happen to you, again, the board, which is normally on churches, they can go out here and they can hire another person to come in, fill that position, fill that void that's needed, and give them the money, to be able to take care of bills or whatever the case may be while that's happening. So essentially, it's a security blanket for said business to be able to maintain for 2, 3, 4, 5 years after you're gone. To, again, I don't want to use the word replace you because we're irreplaceable, right? I feel like I'm irreplaceable. But, but for them to come back and be able to run.
We have to get more black people purchasing homes. The power that black people can get from home ownership, right? We have to inspire our people so they can take advantage of real estate. And real estate can bless us and bless our community.
This week on Black in Real Estate.
Exclusionary zoning. Well, what was that all about? Some people think that, look, this segregation thing was always the case. That's not true. It wasn't always where black people couldn't live in certain areas or certain neighborhoods. It wasn't always the case. Matter of fact, during Reconstruction, right after the Civil War, it was very common to have integrated neighborhoods. Well, after Reconstruction, after the election of 1917, when for a compromise, they decided to take the army, the northern troops out of the South, the end of Reconstruction, then that's when we start having problems. Like local small towns, they start implementing fear tactics. white paramilitary groups and unwritten rules to get black people out of certain areas and create these racial districts. Well, then you have in larger cities, they couldn't just put black people out, right? You can't just, you're dealing with more than just a couple of hundred residents. You're dealing with thousands of residents. So you just can't scare them away. Well, they had to now get creative, and they started creating these racially zoned ordinances or exclusionary zoning. Well, here's the reality. In 1917, when Kentucky and New Orleans decided that they were going to create laws and ordinances that said that only black people could live in this area and only white people can live in that area, the Supreme Court shot it down and said, that's not constitutional. You can't do that, right? They said that a property owner should be able to sell property to whoever they want and choose to, is what the Supreme Court said in 1917. But even with that, there were certain cities like Indianapolis that tried to circumvent that. And they said, all right, black people, you can move into an all-white district only if the majority of the residents approve it. Come on now. Ain't nobody going for that. That ain't going to work. Or Richmond, Virginia tried to circumvent the 1917 rule, and they called that the Buchanan law. And they said they had already had a ban on interracial marriage. So the way they put it was, okay, you can live in a district, a white district, Mr. Black person, or you can't live in any district to where you wouldn't be able to marry a majority of the people that live in that area, right? So that was their way of circumventing the 1917 Supreme Court ruling that shot down exclusionary zoning. But even with that, again, you got other cities like Birmingham and Atlanta who defended racial zoning, saying that, look, hey, this law, right? This response from the Supreme Court, it doesn't affect what we're doing because it only talks about who people can sell property to. It doesn't talk about residents. So it doesn't talk about where black people can or cannot live. Even though in 1917 it became unconstitutional to have exclusionary zoning or racially zoned ordinances, this practice continued all the way up until the late 1980s. I'm saying, even in Florida, West Palm Beach, in 1929, a full 12 years after the Buchanan ruling, they adopted a racial zoning ordinance and maintained it until 1960. In Orlando, Florida, a suburb out of Orlando, Florida, it banned blacks. This is where we get the railroad tracks from out of a suburb in Orlando, Florida, which was probably copied in multiple cities. It banned blacks from living on the north side of the railroad tracks and banned whites from living on the south side of the railroad tracks, right? Again, creating these racial districts. And they maintained that ordinance up until 1968. And then again, Austin and Atlanta, they continued their racial zoning by designating African-American areas in official planning documents. So they didn't do it with ordinances or laws, but in their city planning and their documents, they identified what would be considered an African-American district. And again, and that practice was copied by Kansas City, Norfolk, Virginia, and that continued these practices up until 1987. So you see, exclusionary zoning was an attempt to prevent access of African Americans to homeownership, to certain areas of town. Because I already ain't got to tell you that these areas that black people were prevented from living in were the better areas, right? These areas that black people were prevented from living in due to these exclusionary zoning, these were the areas that got the resources, that got the supplies, that had the access to the economy, that had the businesses. They were the more valuable, the more attractive areas of town. And imagine that happening for over 100 years. Over 100 years, this was happening, even after it was deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. So this is what you got. Exclusionary zoning at its ugliest. D'Amico is not his name. D'Amico Ryans, right? Houston, we have our coach, right? Mr. D'Amico Ryans has come home, and we're going to take over the NFL, baby. So to you Cowboy fans, to you, he came back. D'Amico is from Bessemer, Alabama, but Texas, Bessemer, yes. But the Texans is the team that drafted him. We the ones that was like, hey, bro, we gonna start your career in NFL, bro. Ace times where he wanted to come.
So he used to play for the Texans.
You don't know about D'Amico Ryans?
I'll be checking for D'Amico.
Bro, don't act like you don't know D'Amico Ryans, Rookie of the Year, Rookie Defensive MVP 2000. Don't be.
So this was a smart young man coming out of Bessemer.
Yeah, it's a good smart young man coming out of Bessemer. Matter of fact, he had two brothers and a sister. Okay. And he was the youngest coming out of Bessemer. That boy was raised with good loins, right? I was doing some research on him and listening to his mama. The Houston Chronicle interviewed his mama. That boy got good roots in that young man.
Foundation is what it's all about.
No, so matter of fact, in the like the mama used to make sacrifices for him. Like, she used to work like 3 hours, 3 jobs. She used to walk to work or take the bus to work so he could drive to school. Like she's a doctor.
So she didn't have him working.
She ain't have him working, but hey, the payoff about to come. That boy signed a 6-year contract.
Okay.
How much is it?
A lot.
Contract?
A lot.
No, 1 million and 2 million.
7.
3 million, 4 million.
What's the difference? 4. What Jay-Z say? What's the difference between 1 millionaire and 2 million, or 1 billionaire and 2 millionaires?
What?
He said make some more or something like that.
I don't know. That's
I screwed it up.
Yeah,
I know.
Just say she know.
Yeah, it was very clever.
She got you. So, but yeah, so I'm putting together an article, man. I'm going, write out. I'm looking at his life, seeing what's popping off for D'Amico, man. And I feel like we need to make some recommendations, real estate recommendations for this young man coming back into the city. Because I need him ready to go. I need him relaxed. I need him focused when it's time to coach these boys to greatness.
When his kids going to school?
Man, I think they should go to the Kincaid school. That's my recommendation. I'm going to say, man, go to the Kincaid. I get you a nice $1 million house over there close to the Kincaid. They got good learning for the kids.
What's the demographics at the Kincaid?
It don't matter. It don't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
let me tell you, in his tax bracket, the demographics ain't never
Anybody go there? I had a niece to go there. She wasn't in them demographics. But
right.
Okay, good. Okay, that's better.
That's what I was gonna say.
They need to be well rounded.
Hey, look, what I was gonna say is, based on that tax bracket, the demographics ain't never gonna line up.
Yeah.
You know what you expect. But here's the thing: the Kincaid school is looking to diversify. Supposedly, they got a diversity problem.
Oh.
I bet they do. So they looking.
Okay.
Well, Google needs to change everything because they still have him under the 49ers.
It's coming, man.
They have one market?
They still have him listed as like a 49er.
Oh.
It wasn't made official until January 31st. It's only been a week.
It's February 7th now.
You got to catch up.
It's 2023. No, they need to update that.
Come on, man. The 49ers ain't worried about that. They ain't worried about their website. They worried about trying to get
the
to
Texans need to be like
Look, we just happy he said yes.
Know, right?
And we sharing it on here on BDREF.
Boy said yes. Yes, so y'all be on the lookout. So y'all be on the lookout, man. I'm writing an article, man. And then he's a man of God.
That seems to be a thing now, right? These articles.
I mean, you know what, Jess? Somebody got to give him some guidance.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he back in the city. He been gone for 8 years.
You know what? What if you tweet the article to him? Because he's on Twitter.
Yeah, that's the plan. To him, his mama, his brothers,
Dear
his sister,
D'Amico,
his wife,
everybody.
And so he's a player or a coach? What did you say he was?
Head coach, baby.
Head coach. Okay.
Matter of fact, his wife named Jamila. She a registered nurse. She real easy down in the medical center. Come on, man. We a perfect fit. Perfect.
Just
fit.
makes sense.
It just makes sense.
It
And
Is she practicing?
Just make. I'm looking forward to it.
She still got RN behind her name. He don't make her. She is her own woman.
That's true.
Right.
There you go.
I'm gonna tell you.
We're looking forward to the article, Mike, man.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna talk to him about that old the church at Bethel's family, man. That boy needs to be introduced to our church, Laverne.
Yep, he needs to be there. He'll get a great word, lots of good support.
Come on, man.
Do y'all go up to the celebrities?
Then you have Jalen there.
Well, no, we don't go up. We don't go try to get their autographs, but you know, we announce. But pastors shout them out. Because like Bun B go to our church.
Yeah.
So Jalen Petrie, I'm put that in the article. I'm like, hey man, Jalen Petrie, you already got players there. You got your rookie phenom there, man. You might as well come to the church too.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
Our Osteen gonna try to get in on that and be like, no, come over here to the what's the name of the church? Come on over to Lakewood.
Man, Osteen better sit down somewhere, man. Got a plan. Hey Shay, don't you go to Lakewood? Oh, somebody mama go to Lakewood.
Yeah, my mama goes there. I don't go to church.
Okay, I knew Shay had some connection to Lakewood. Some mama.
Okay. We just have a real church for real people, so he should just come for real people.
I mean, if he's a real person,
he's a real person. He's not in the metaverse because we're going to bring Houston team to the map.
Come on, man.
Okay.
If he real, if he about that real, y'all, he need to come to the real church.
Yeah, you can tell you doing a new member orientation.
Yeah, I could tell him that. I could tell him.
You get him right.
Man, we're gonna get that ball.
That's hilarious, man.
Well, yeah, man. So y'all be on the lookout for that, man. The article's gonna be dropping. Just offering some recommendations. You know, I seen a couple of properties, man, that I think would fit perfect for them. One of them's close to the Kincaid School. One of them's close to NRG. I'm gonna tell that boy about Bethel's. You know, put him on. I'm gonna put him on Bethel's, man. And we're just gonna go from there.
I think we need to get in touch with the Texans.
There you go. You're ahead of the game.
Because who's to say that they ain't already?
That don't matter to me, man.
We
Hey,
need
look.
to get them.
Well, look. If he didn't already found a house and he listened to somebody else, then when he see my article, that boy gonna be like,
sell it.
Hey.
No, he gonna be like, sell it.
I should have hopped on with this boy and see your coach great, man. Why ain't nobody say nothing? That's how you feel.
Now say, Mr. Mecco,
That is not that man's name.
Sell it.
That is not that.
It's a term of endearment. He'll get it.
That's not that man's
He'll
name.
understand.
He even named his son. He named his first kid after him. They call him DJ though. They don't call him. No, they call him MJ, which is interesting. So his name's D'Amico Jr., but they call him MJ. Anyway,
interesting.
All right,
that's funny, man.
So we talking about door knocking.
Everything, door knocking. That's right. Door knocking, man. You put a good article out there, but first one, what y'all say? Y'all think door knocking is dead?
Door knocking is not dead, but it's. You have to have that hustle bone in you, or that you have to have that dog in you.
That dog? What that mean?
You know, on Twitter they have like X-rays up and they say, "Oh, he got that dog in him." You know, those real aggressive types of stop for nothing. They're very persistent.
Well, the last thing you need to be is aggressive going to knock on somebody else. I wouldn't advise that.
You have to be aggressive in your mind to even attempt though.
Oh, so mental aggression.
Yeah, you have to be mentally aggressive.
And look, I think it can still work.
The article was interesting that you put in there.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
It's simply because, like, I would not be one to door knock. I'm more hesitant as far as like, okay,
why is that?
People worried about safety and myself, but then I did like in the article, people crazy.
Yes, very
I don't
true.
open the door for everybody.
When you knock on the door,
I mean, I know we have the ring, system, but
you know, it's like the Jehovah's Witnesses. We need to take on their spirit. They like, no, we got a message to get out, and we gonna knock on this door. We don't care if they slam the door on our face. We gonna give them this book.
Hey, look, them Jehovah's Witnesses, they got good self-esteem. They got high self-esteem. The boys be ducking them like.
Okay, we'll take that note.
They different from real estate agents.
But I like how in the article you were saying how he was just running around in the neighborhood. I think I could make connections like that. You know, if you're just naturally